In today's video, I'm going to show you my best tips and tricks I was able to gather while playing Fortnite Chapter 6. Everything from combat to movement to miscellaneous, tips for beginners, and also some stuff you might not have seen yet, so let's get right into it. Alrighty guys, first things first, we're going to talk about the weapons that I prefer to use, and I only usually keep 2 weapons in my item slot, so I go for a Holo AR, and then I go for either a Sentinel or a Oni shotgun. So, as far as the Holo goes, I will pick a green Holo over a blue or purple Surge Fire any day of the week. So, I don't care if it's got a -1 damage, that's not going to affect the gun for me at all. It has a nice fire rate, good damage, and I like the scope, and I like how I can tap fire with it. And the same thing goes for the shotguns. I will drop a gold twin fire auto shotgun to pick up a purple sentinel pump. Like, the twin fire has just got me killed too many times. The fire rate's cool, whatever, but it feels super inconsistent. I feel like I just load full clips into people and they just 2-tap me, so. And to anybody that thinks that the Typhoon Blades are too OP, I was able to take this guy out in one shot with a green Sentinel Pump. Now, I did hit him point blank in the face, but that just goes to show that if your aim's good enough, you can definitely take somebody out if they have a sword. They're just kind of hard to hit, so I feel like that's why they're considered to be OP. And as far as the Oni shotgun goes, I would suggest picking this up again because since the update, it's definitely got a pretty big buff because I'm doing 74, 76 damage from like 20 meters away. So it's a ranged shotgun, so I would suggest you guys give it another shot. And since this video is more so for people on controller, here's another tip for you. Stop using just your right thumbstick to aim. You got to start using your left thumbstick for movement. So as you can see right here, I'm actually moving to the left while I'm aiming. Now this is clearly a bot and they're standing still, but whenever you're fighting somebody that's moving, how many times have you went left, right, up, down, everywhere around them, like in a circle without hitting them, and you're changing your settings and you're like, dude, what's going on? You just got to start using your left thumbstick too. Now what this does is, as you can see, I'm moving right as he's moving right. So same thing with this one. I'm moving left as they're moving left. So this makes gradual movements, smooth movements that are consistent instead of you making micro adjustments with your thumbstick and missing. Next up is going to be wall peaks. Now, most people know what this is, but I'm going to do this for the new people too. So wall peaks are when you're standing behind a barrier, you want it to be on your left side and your opening to be on the right side. So as you can see, most of my body is covered up by that barrier. So when my gun's sticking out, I'm very hard to hit. It's basically just my crosshair out. If you do it the opposite way, that means you're going to have to push your whole entire body out behind cover to shoot, and you're going to be really easy to hit. But also another thing you have to look for is to make sure that you're not too far behind the wall and that little red X pops up. Because if that does, that means you're actually shooting the wall instead of your opponent. And just as an example, as you can see, I'm fighting a couple bots here, and I'm always staying behind the tree on the right side, just so if I get shot, I have a little bit of extra cover and I'm not easy to hit. And just a little bonus clip you might not have known, if you're in the night shift forest and you're seeing a lot of glare out the windows and you're struggling to see people without getting shot, all you have to do is stand to the left of the window and aim in, and as you can see, all that glare goes away. So instead of putting yourself right in front of the window and aiming so you can get yourself shot in the face, just stand off to the side, aim in, and you can get a way better view. And you can also use this technique to bounce in and out of a shoulder peak to take people out with shotguns. Another tip is if you subscribe, you will see more and more videos like this in your future. Because as you can see, over 82% of you guys aren't subscribed. Bruh, if you please, sir, please, if you could, like, subscribe, comment down below your thoughts and opinions, turn on that notification bell so you never miss a video, and if you got a little bit of generosity in you, join the Discord. That's all I'm gonna ask. Back to the video. Next is the seat switch. Now to pull this off, you just switch over to your passenger seat while you're driving, and then you can catch people off guard if they're in the open, or you can do this if you're in a car chase. I do recommend only using the cars for this and not the Jeeps, because the Jeeps have a lot more seats to go through, and yeah, you kind of get it. I didn't include the pickaxe method because it's a glitch that I don't think should be in the game, but if you don't know what it is, you basically swing your pickaxe at a vehicle and you enter it at the same time, and as long as you're aiming at them while they're driving, you can actually hit them while inside of their vehicle. Moving on to the new mythics is going to be the Typhoon Blade. Now, I actually picked this up every single game. And if you can't do that, I would recommend trying to go for the Void Mask, but honestly, I will pick the sword any day of the week. And if you want a higher chance of finding these, I don't recommend just searching random chests. You gotta drop at these new Japanese inspired POIs because you'll see those sword stands and it's just a lot easier. Now, in my opinion, I don't think that this needs to be nerfed. Like I said earlier, if you have a shotgun and you got decent aim, you can easily take one of these guys out. With all the flashy animations, it can seem intimidating to fight one of these guys, but just remember, they're going to be adding the kinetic blade back in a future update, so we're going to have to see how that stands against this blade. Leading into that is the Cyclone Slash. If you have the Typhoon blade, I would try your best to master this move. It's really good for getting some distance between you and your opponent, so like right here, I knocked them back for 90 damage, and then I was able to take them out with my gun. You can take advantage of this if you're getting third-partied or you're overwhelmed, but also it's good to knock people into Storm. I've done this several times, or I knocked them off at edges like this guy right here. He died to fall damage. And also, you can use this against vehicles, so don't think that you can't fight against a vehicle if you have the Typhoon blade. Moving on to the more movement categories is going to be vehicles in general. And I know a lot of you are like, why would I not use a vehicle? This is a no-brainer. The reason I bring this up is because remember, Chapter 6 brought back hit scan, and if you're primarily playing zero build and you're stuck out in the open with no movement, you're getting lasered. So for example, if I needed to cross this lake, I would have to swim across, and that would take me quadruple the time to get across if I didn't have a vehicle. And if you're getting chased or third-partied or you're running away from Storm, it's a bad day. They also come in handy in the end game where everybody's camping, and you never appreciate it until you don't have it. Next up is taking advantage of the new parkour mechanics. So right here, you can see I'm getting chased and I'm trying to hide, and I don't have as much health as I really want to. And you never want to get stuck inside of a building, so I'm trying my best to make all my movements unpredictable. Especially when you're in an area like the Seaport City, there are so many floors and windows and doors you can hop in and out of and make your opponent lose track of you. So, for example, this guy's still chasing me. He doesn't know exactly where I'm at, but he knows I'm inside of this building. So I'm going to set up a trap by using my right shoulder peek and listening to his footsteps. And of course, he comes around the corner. I use my right shoulder peek and I'm able to take him off guard. And I take his Typhoon blade and dip out of there before I get third party by the other guy that heard us fighting. So you never want to just run in a straight line. You want to be taking lefts and rights, hopping out of windows, going around corners, and being unpredictable and juke your opponents out. In this example, I was getting shot in the back while looting, and I didn't know exactly where it came from, but I do know there's another person in this building that's probably looking for a third party. So in this scenario, I'm actually going to leave because you don't want to try to stay inside and do a shotgun fight going in and out of rooms and hide behind corners because you don't know where these guys are. This is where you'd want to push high ground. The last thing you want to do is rush inside of a building trying to get an easy kill and then somebody's hiding around a corner and they shotgun you. You don't know where these guys are. Don't get led into the traps. Get your composure and check your surroundings. Since we're on the topic of high ground, that is the next tip. High ground is your best friend and is the key to survival in Fortnite. And like I said earlier, they brought back hit scan. And if you don't know what that is, it basically means as soon as you pull the trigger, it's hitting your opponent. There's no bullet travel or bullet drop. Especially if you are a zero build player like myself, you can't build walls or structures. You rely on the map to be your cover. And if you don't have that because you're out in the open, you are going to get lasered. Especially if you're walking around and you have no movement. And a bonus tip is to check the porta potties. You never know which porta potty can teleport you to a place to get you in and out of bad situations. Just a few seconds ago, I was all the way underneath the mountain and I instantly got high ground. You never know when this can save your life if you're getting chased and you're low health or you need to push a fight. But you can also use these as a trap because if somebody chases you into it, you can wait on the other side with a shotgun and you can easily get the drop on them. And if you don't have any movement to get to high ground, you can always use the spawn island that comes in every match and use the little wind tunnels that are on the ground and use that to push yourself to the next location, whether you're hurt or you're just trying to get a good spot on the next circle. And if you're like me and you don't like going up against the bosses because they're OP or you're worried about third parties, don't worry about just jumping off the edge. You cannot take fall damage. The wind will automatically pull out your glider. Next up are the shrines. For this one, you just got to take the sprites to one of these things and it'll grant you a boon. And a lot of people already know this, but I see too many of these not being used in my matches. I tested the wind boon speed compared to the typhoon blade just in case I wasn't able to find one or the other while playing the game. So I ran from one tree to the other and I timed it, and speed was around the same, but if you look at my stamina bar you can see that it's drained over halfway with the wind boon. Then I did the same test with the Typhoon Blade, and as you can see, the stamina bar is draining much slower, not even using a third of the stamina. But just keep in mind, with the Wind Boon, you don't have to worry about a durability meter like you do on the Typhoon Blade. And the same thing goes for the water boons. I actually prefer these over the wind boon because I think they're pretty OP in my opinion. They heal health and shields just by standing in water, and with the Chapter 6 map, there is water literally everywhere, so there's no excuse not to pick it up. So right now, I'm in like a top 5 scenario and I don't have any shields, but as you can see, it does stop at 77, but this is better than nothing. And last but not least is the Earth Sprite. These guys are really rare, and I found this guy on the top of this hill right next to the Shining Span Bridge. And basically, if you don't already know, you can trade any weapon to him and he will spit out a gold weapon in return. Just keep in mind though, just because you give him a green holo doesn't mean you're getting a gold one. It is randomized. So I gave him a blue Fury assault rifle and I got a gold twin fire shotgun in return. And also, you can only do this once per game or once per person if you're in a squads match. And these are all the different locations that the Earth Sprite will spawn at, and there's a lot here. And if my research is correct, only 2 will spawn per match, so if you guys are struggling to find one of these guys, I'd recommend just sticking to a certain quarter section of the map and just check each location throughout your game, and you'll know you found one because you'll see these little lamps just sitting kind of out of place, just randomly scattered around. So if there's a certain area you're used to seeing and you see one of these things all the time, just keep dropping there and eventually you'll find one. Next up is nobody's taking advantage of the mini bosses. In my personal games, nobody goes after these guys, and in my experience, I don't ever get third-partied. And these guys are pretty easy to find. They're scattered around the map and they look like a white shredder helmet from Ninja Turtles. And if you like to be able to reload your weapons faster, they usually drop a fire boon and a epic rarity weapon. I just do not recommend fighting the sword dude with a shotgun like you see in here. Use a spray weapon because they can take down your health pretty fast if you're not careful. I do not recommend going against the big bosses though. They have way too much health, and the amount of time and ammo you're going to waste is going to get you third-partied. You're going to do all the work, take them out, and somebody's going to come and kill you and take all that loot. And honestly, the loot that they drop, in my opinion, is not worth you costing your whole game. Next up are going to be your drops. Now, you don't always have to drop at named locations. There's a bunch of areas around the map that have decent loot that are a little bit more unknown. So what I did is I circled all the areas I like to go to if I'm trying to play the long game. Like, I don't want to just get quick kills and go to hot drop after hot drop. This is for people that want to play at their own pace and be a little bit more stealthy and actually try to get a victory. So right here, I'm at a place that's right above Hopeful Heights, and this one's really chill. Like, nobody ever drops here, and I like to come here because a lot of times there will be one of these epic chests that spawns that can get you a little bit of a better loot than your opponents. And then right here, this place is a little bit more known because more YouTubers have been talking about it, but this is right below the Demon's Dojo, and it has like this secret sewer tunnel system that's underground, and it's a lot more hidden. And then a lot of times you can find the Typhoon Blade and like a super chest and all these boons and stuff. So this one has really decent loot, but I will say just be careful. A lot of people have been dropping here. Now this is a smaller one, but if you have the Typhoon Blade and you like to get the key card for the Storm Circle, I would recommend using this against the Henchmen because it draws a lot less attention and makes a lot less noise, so you're less likely to get third-partied. Because every time I would go in and use guns, I would get third-partied every time, but every time I use my Typhoon Blade, it's so quick and quiet that you're able to get that key card, get the Storm Circles, and you can be on your merry way before anybody even knew you were there. Next up are the vehicle pings. If you're able to ping a vehicle and that little icon pops up, that means that nobody's inside of it. Because especially in the end games, people love to car camp. So if you think somebody is and that icon pops up, that means you're safe. Because a lot of times they like to sit on top of mountains holding the high ground, waiting for the next circle, or if they get shot, they can just drive away. Now this guy looks suspicious to me, so I pinged him, and of course only the danger icon popped up, and obviously he drove away, so just keep this in mind. Next up are the vaults. Now, if you go to Magic Mosses and you go to the very center of the POI, you can break through this structure and it'll lead you to this room. And as long as you have a Sprite, you can open up this rock wall that will lead you to a bunch of loot. Now, I know more and more people are figuring this out, so just be careful, but I don't recommend doing this in the night shift forest because you have to take a Sprite to the Bush Ranger. He could be in like 3 different locations, then you get a key, then you can open the vault, and it's just a lot to go through just to get third-partied, so I don't recommend doing that there. Just go to Magic Mosses, and worst case scenario, if you do get attacked, you can do what I do here and go through this porta potty and you can just leave the area. Next up is the train. Now, I haven't even jumped out of the battle bus yet, and I'm keeping track of where the train is going, and it looks like it's going to be at Brutal Boxcars by the time I actually hit the ground. Now, I don't know if this is 100% or not, but in all of my testings, if I am not the first one to open up the chest, I am not going to get the gold Holo AR, aka the best weapon in the game. As soon as you land, you want to hack the chest and then open up these smaller ones to get any weapons you can. Everybody can see you hacking this chest and they will third party, so just be careful, and I recommend hiding behind these little structures because you are out in the open. Then this guy hopped on the train and he started shooting me because he seen I was hacking the chest and he wanted it for himself. Just be careful because most of the time they will have better loot than you, but luckily I was able to take him out and open the chest, and as you can see, there is the gold Holo Twister AR. And just to prove my theory is correct, I went back the same game and hacked the chest again to see if I could get a second gold holo, and what do you know, the loot popped out and there's only a blue one, so just keep in mind you have to land there first. And the last tip for this video, but certainly not the least, is the bots for hire. In my ranking, first place goes to V. She's a scout specialist and she can ping enemies, ammo boxes, and chests, and you can find her in the Rolling Blossoms farm. Second place goes to Halsey. She is a medic specialist, so if you're hurt, she can give you chug splash heals throughout your game, and you can find her at Canyon Crossing. Third place goes to Mizuki. She is a supply specialist. She will give you ammo for whatever weapon you're holding and shockwaves, and you can find her at Lost Lake. And in fourth place is Cinder. She is a heavy specialist, and the reason I put her in fourth is because she just throws grenades constantly, and she was always giving away my position. Alrighty guys, that's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed, could you please Superman punch that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, drop them down below. I will reply to all of you. And if you're feeling up to it, please consider joining the Discord. Every little bit of support I can get is very much appreciated. I've been working day and night, non-stop, trying to get these videos out for you guys so you can have some quality content. But yeah, that's going to do it for me. I'll see y'all in the next one. I love you. Bye.